Hi, I'm Alex Stafford, and I'm here with the Rave TV. And guess what? Sevendust has arrived, and we are sitting here with Jon. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be back in Milwaukee.
You guys almost don't even leave. This is your 21st time playing the Rave.
We were talking about that earlier today. We were trying to figure the number. We knew it was around 20 somewhere, but yeah, I mean, we've got such a cool history here. I mean, we've been coming here since, you know, the first record, 97, 98 was the first time we came through on. I think it was the Metal Fest that we actually played. It was crazy. We played real earlier in the day, but we played upstairs, and yeah, I mean, it's been a long, very, very cool, you know, road playing here for sure.
And that's not even counting all the times you've been in Wisconsin with Summerfest and Madison,
yep.
Green Bay, Eau Claire, Racine. I mean, I think it's safe to say that you guys are one of Wisconsin's favorite rock and metal bands.
Well, I mean, we've had so much love from this city, and JJO has given us so much support over all the years too. You know, it's like, you know, it's kind of that double thing that we got going. But yeah, this area has always been great to us. I mean, we were just talking about the whole Summerfest thing. We're kind of bummed that we're not going to be on it this year, but you know, it's cool doing the acoustic thing, being kind of in a different. You're in a different gear, and you're on a different, you know, timetable. You know, it's odd being on the road during like all the rock fests and the Rock on the Ranges and all these big summer and spring festivals, but we're not doing that because we're you know, in a totally different gear right now. So for us, it's cool, but it bums us out because we're seeing all these cool pictures, going, man, that's what we're supposed to be doing, you know. But the acoustic thing is a totally different vibe from that, you know. So for us, it's you know, it's bittersweet that we're missing those shows that, you know, we've done so many times, but it's also cool that we're doing something, you know, left to center for the fans. Fans are having a real good time with it. So
now I think right now is actually a very interesting time that you guys do the acoustic album, because Blackout the Sun, I was blown away by. It was one of your heaviest records.
Oh, thank you, man.
It was one of your heaviest records. It really seemed to take a left turn compared to what you traditionally have done. You know,
Sure.
just a lot of the guitar works, you know, the
Yep.
organization of the songs. And then now you're just totally bringing it back down
Right.
and, you know, going unplugged. Yeah, the new album is Time Travelers and Bonfires. Is it, when you take the stage, you know, tonight compared to, you know, rock, you know, a rock show, you know, when you're all electric, is it mentality going into it? Is it different? Is just vibe-wise?
Yeah, it's different, and you know, the first show, of course, you know, you go in and you don't know what to expect, so you're just kind of hanging on for dear life, trying to remember the parts, you know. But once you get comfortable with, you know, the song arrangements and a lot of the, I think the biggest thing for us is like once we're in the song, everything's good, but there's a lot of transitional pieces that we kind of do on the fly, and sometimes they are a common theme that'll happen throughout the tour. You know, once you kind of get that underneath you, then you just kind of vibe out on the crowd. I mean, for us, it's odd. You know, normally we're up there jumping off trampolines or drum
Yeah, you guys
risers
are just
or,
going
you know,
off
doing
everything.
whatever. So for us to be sitting on stools playing guitar, I'm kind of looking around going, yeah, this is really cool. I could do 9 hours of this, you know. As long as LJ can sing, I'm good to go, you know. But it is a totally different mentality. It's weird because you don't feel, even though it's a lot more exposed, I guess, you know, without amps and distortion and all that extra stuff to hide behind, it doesn't really feel that way. It just, I don't know. I think it's always been an element of this band that's just come naturally. You know, it was never anything that was forced. Even when we did the Southside Double Wide thing, it was an experiment, but it was kind of you know, one of those immediate things that just, you know, we really didn't have to work too hard to push some of these songs into that, you know, that place. Some of the arrangements for some of the ones that we did on the new record are completely different. You know, like they have a different feel, a different vibe. Some of them are exactly the way they were, you know, they were on the record. Like a song like Karma, we never did it, and we were like, no, we want to make sure that we at least do it the way that it should have been done, because we can always take that, you know, that cool step, which we haven't done yet. But some of these songs that are done acoustic might go over electric. So
That's an odd approach, because normally it's like electric.
Normally it's the other way.
We'll try an
right,
acoustic,
right,
see
right,
how it works.
Right. There's 4 or 5 of these that were like, you know what? These would make a really cool transition going the other way. So it could get interesting when we stand back up again and play late this summer. You know, some of these acoustic songs I bet are going to sneak in there. Just because we've been doing them and we're comfortable with them, you know. The mindset's a little bit different with what you got to do on the guitar, but it's the same song, you know,
Yeah.
one way or the other. So for us, you know, it's been cool. I mean, no 2 sets have been the same. People yell out songs and we start playing them. We did Splinter the other night. Splinter acoustic is really interesting.
Yeah. Is there any song that you tried acoustic and you're just doesn't work?
Yeah, I mean, there were a bunch of them that we
away.
tried. The first time we tried Crucified, it wasn't cool because it was literally, we were like, oh, we just started playing it the way we would normally do it. And I think it was Clint that said, well, what if we just take like a totally different approach to it? And he started playing it at that tempo, and I was like, wow, this is like Edie Brickell, like something completely different from Sevendust, you know, but it was the same song. And that's the one that surprised people in the studio the most when we did the whole listening party. We got to preview, you know, fans got to come in, preview the record and everything. And, you know, as soon as, you know, they'd hear the intro to Denial, they knew what it was. But with Crucified, it was weird. It was a creeper. Like, they didn't react until LeJean started singing, and then everyone lost their mind. So it was like, all right.
Oh, I know what that song
right,
is.
Right. Finally,
yeah.
they're like, oh, yeah, okay. So
I see what you did there.
Right. You know, but yeah, I mean, that song was horrible doing it literally the way that we did on the record. But there's a handful of those that we kind of tried real quick, and it was like, I don't know. I mean, some of the super hyper heavy stuff just doesn't work. But if you take that, all right, let's just strip it down and do something different with it, you know, you can kind of do any of this stuff.
Just come back down to the basics.
Yeah.
Tear away,
pretty
rebuild.
much, you know. Yeah, because for LeJean, it's basically just about just being in the vibe of whatever's happening during, you know, that piece of music. And I mean, a lot of this stuff, even with the heavier stuff, I mean, it starts on acoustic. It may start on acoustic, you know, acoustic guitar just sitting on a couch around the house, and you get an idea and you kind of work it out on acoustic, and then you go in the studio and you do it electric. So sometimes making that transition back to it is a lot easier than a lot of people might think, you know.
Yeah.
Just stripping it down.
Well, your band, Sevendust, between all the guys, you just have such a phenomenal chemistry that you guys, you can tell that you're a band that really appreciates being live on stage, and that
Sure.
it really shows how much you guys love what you do. You know, you're talking about LeJean and his vibe. His vibe just, you know, just brings out everybody from the crowd, and you guys feed off of their vibe.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you guys have had countless amazing shows here, and you know, all around Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are just straight up like road dogs of the road. You know, you keep touring, you keep touring. Is there, and I mean, you've played with quite some bands. Is there anybody you haven't played with, you want to bring out, or you want to open up for?
I mean, you know, the whole Pantera thing that's been thrown around.
Oh,
I mean, it's a love-hate thing, because I get both sides of it. I do, you know, and Dime was a dear friend, and you know, Vinny and all those guys we're actually really tight with. But you know, just the prospect, because when someone first threw it out there, I was like, no, man, you can't do that. And then when they threw the Zach card in there, I went, well, if there was anybody who was going to do it, that's the guy who would probably do it more justice than anyone on earth. I mean, he would probably live with a whammy bar. You know, he would master it the same way that he did with, you know, the Randy stuff and the Jakey Lee stuff. I mean, he does that Ozzy stuff. He has his signature thing on it, but he's still playing the solo the way the solo was supposed to be played. So he's the only reason that I go, all right, maybe, you know. But I mean, that would be the craziest tour ever. And it's just nuts. You know, we never got a chance to tour with Pantera back in the day. We came real close. We had an offer to go do Europe with them, and we were committed to doing another tour. And we were really good friends with them. We jammed on stage with them. But we never toured with them. So for me, it's kind of like a notch in the bedpost, you know. I did my, you know, time with Metallica. I've got to play with, you know, some of my favorite bands on earth. But, you know, Pantera's that one band that was kind of like, oh, man, we missed it, you know. But I don't know if it'll ever happen.
You know, Dez from Devil Driver was just here about a week or a half ago, and we got on topic of Pantera, and then it just reminded me that I never got to see them live.
Yeah, they were just amazing. When they were at the top of their game, there was nobody who could touch them.
They brought metal in at a time when it wasn't really that popular.
It wasn't cool being metal. I mean, he was playing solos when Soundgarden and Nirvana were big, you know. I mean, Dimebag survived through all of that. You know, he
did it with style.
Yeah, always did it with style. You know, it was like he never lost the guitar solo. It was always there. It might not have been the forefront and the focus. You know, it's weird. He never had a featured solo in Pantera. It's like he's one of the only guitar heroes in the history of the world that never had a featured spot. You know, Eddie Van Halen has his solo moment. Randy had his moment. Zach had his moment. You know, all those guys had his moment. But Dime he never had an individual, only in Damage Plan.
Yeah, I was going to say he did on the last Damage Plan tour. I remember
which I was so stoked about. I was like, you know, hearing him do Eruption is like, I love Eddie. And
Yeah.
Eddie's phenomenal, and he is, you know, a dear friend, but there's like an extra gear he can give Eruption, you know, when Dime's on it. He had that extra snap to it, you know, that just I loved hearing him get out there and just let it loose.
And you gotta love Eddie, because you know he started the whole finger tap.
Without Eddie, nobody would be doing any of that stuff. You know, I'm still dumbfounded on a lot of stuff that he does. You know, after all these years, it's like, even though the mystery, you know, it's still like the Rubik's Cube. You know, some people can unlock it, and other people are just, they can't ever quite get it. I can get two sides of it, but it's those other four sides that just, you know.
Well, you can probably play it a hell of a lot better than I can even do it, so you got that on me.
Right.
Yeah, so if you ever hear of Pantera doing their reunion, any possibility,
I mean,
bring Sevendust out.
I think every band on earth is probably going to be lined up for that one. I don't think they'll have a shortage of people that are submitting for the tour if it were to happen.
Every fan would be lined up too.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I know Vinny's focused on the Hell Yeah thing, and they got a record coming out right now. And my old bass player, actually, Kyle Sanders, is the new bass player. So it's kind of cool seeing him in that gig too. So it's bittersweet, because I'm like, no, stop at the Pantera thing. Let this thing happen for a minute, you know. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, of all the bands that kind of fell through, you know, that we missed, that would be the one.
That is quite the answer, and I respect the hell out of
Sevendust
that.
Pantera would be wow, that would be a lot of fun. That tour would be a blast.
So, I guess pretty much what's next for Sevendust after this album run?
We well, you know, it's kind of weird the timing of this record, because it's in the middle of we're still kind of doing Blackout the Sun. We haven't completely unplugged from it. We've got July and August dates that we're going to be standing up doing full-blown electric. A month, a little more than a month of that, and then after that we're gonna shift into DVD mode. We've been talking about doing the double live DVD for 10 years now, and it's time to just go ahead and do it. So we're gonna do probably 2 nights in New York. Not sure on the venue yet. We got to kind of lock that in, but we're gonna do
Radio City Music Hall,
right.
or Madison Square Garden.
Well, we're thinking Hammerstein because of the layout, and we've got a cool history with Hammerstein. Hammerstein was kind of like the, you know, we played New York, I think, on the first record, and this is no joke, I think we played New York 13 times, you know, because we played a bunch of opening gigs, you know, in these tiny little places. So we're like, you know, you play for 100 people. It's like, all right, wait a minute. You got to have 10 of those to really have a good crowd.
Yeah.
So. But we played 13 times, and the last one that we did was it was the live shoot that we did for the Waffle video. And it was sold out Hammerstein, and it was just kind of like, okay, it was like the final stamp on the record. It was like we started in a van, we sold 311 records, and 24 months later we sold out Hammerstein and shot a video there. So it has a little bit of a nostalgic value in the history of the band, you know. Plus it's got a really cool setting for the acoustic thing, because we want to do the full acoustic thing and have that be DVD 1, and then do the full electric thing and have that be DVD 2. You know, do it upright, do it the way that we've been dying to do it. I mean, everyone's wanting to see a live electric DVD. I mean, we kind of did a little version of it on Retrospect 2, but it didn't have Clint, and, you know, it didn't have a lot of those classic songs a lot of people want to hear. So we'll do that, and then maybe a third acoustic run. We're kind of looking. Atlanta's pissed that they didn't get a date. I mean, we're from Atlanta, and they didn't get a show.
Yeah.
I live in Orlando. They didn't get a show. So Florida and Georgia are like, what is going on? You know, so there's talk about something around Halloween time, you know, maybe out for a few weeks. And then after that, we're just going to kind of, you know, see how it goes, and kind of not really get right back into recording mode, but at least be thinking about it, you know, kind of getting a game plan for the next 5 or 6 months, and trying to map out what we're going to do and how we're going to do the next record.
Now, you're a band that definitely deserves a live DVD. As I said, your live show is very unique. So let me throw an idea past you.
All right.
You could film it out in New York, or you could film it here at the Rave.
Well, you know, could throw that out
Just
there.
an idea.
Right. Well, I mean, we're shooting for late September, early October, somewhere in that ballpark, because we know that we're off. But you know, we'll definitely consider everywhere for sure. For sure.
That's awesome. Well, as I said, it's the 21st time here, and I want to thank you for not getting sick of us yet.
Right.
It seems you enjoy it. So
Absolutely. Always have a good time here, man.
So, yes, thank you for sitting down with us at the Rave TV, and Sevendust is here tonight. Sevendust has arrived.
Sevendust has arrived. It's official. All here.
So, Jon, thank you very much for sitting down.
Absolutely, brother.
I'm Alex Stafford. We will see you next time on the Rave TV.